But it's just one stem. How long can it take? Hi, I'm Paul Brodie, back in the shop here. Feels like a good day. And we're gonna make a stem. This is something that, well, I've made stems, but I've never made a mantis stem. That was Richard Cunningham. He was based down in LA. This was early 80s, I believe, and he didn't make a lot of these stems, so they're kind of hard to find, and I'm helping out here. And what's unique about it is that it clamps the bar with a couple of plates. The rear one, which is welded onto the extension tube of the stem, it's steel, and the front is aluminum because it saves weight. You can polish it up. So that's going to be the first part. And I worked on this last night. Well, yeah, I did. And I made up a drawing, and it's kind of simple in a way, but at the same time it's a bit complex because you got to get the shape right. I could see that Richard worked on this for quite a while to kind of maximize these two plates and the shape of them, because the extension tube has to go onto the back of the triangular plate. And there's not a whole lot of room, and you don't want this to be big because it's steel. It's kind of heavy and clunky. And the stem also has a really high rise. It was one of the unique things about the stem is that it was definitely high rise. So first step is to machine these. These have been hacksawed, and I'm going to machine them because they get held. I'm going to put some cardboard in between, and that's when I bore the hole for the handlebar. It's an inch handlebar, and that's going to add the spacing, and these have to be narrowed down because I didn't have the exact perfect size, but it's going to work fine. Let's go to the mill. Thanks for tuning in. I got some layout dye. I don't think the brand is important. Just, it's blue. It's called Machinist Blue. You can also spray it on as well. Of course, that's ozone going up into the atmosphere. And it's not super, super dark, but you can see a little bit. So we have to let that dry. That line there is the center line of the handlebar. So it's kind of a crucial line. So this is a larger space here in between the center line and the bottom than on the top. It's not symmetrical on both sides. That's not how it got laid out all those years ago. That's going to be the middle. Right up the middle. And this is the hole for the cable guide, and it gets offset off the center line of the bolts by 100 thou. That's what I came up with. And we also need an internal cable routing in here. I'm not quite sure how that all fits together in 100 thou. After this, we'll go over to the surface table and we'll punch it, and then we'll drill holes. We need 4 holes. I'm going to grab the extra piece, which goes on the back. I'm going to put some cardboard on the sides because the cardboard is what helps to hold the two pieces, even though they're the same size, because the vise always wants to do this. So a piece of cardboard is very, very handy, and I'll put some wood underneath so then I can drill right through. And I'll just put that on either side and that'll grab. And then I can drill all I want. I'm going to counter bore now for the Allen screw. Then this is kind of done here on the top. And that looks good. It's just below the surface by a smidge. Grab my tap and I'll start the threading in the drill press. This is anchor lube, and I know the bottle looks really old, and the reason that the bottle looks really old is because I get it out of here and I put the date on there. This is 04. That's how long I've had this big bottle, and it's still about half full. Anchor lube. I'm not going all the way through here. I start it and then I have a foot switch. See the foot switch? And I switch it off as soon as it starts because I don't want to break the tap. Anchor lube. And that starts the tap perpendicular, which is a good thing. Now I go over to the vise and I just finish it off with the hand tap. See all the chips on the bottom? Can you see that? That's what a spiral point tap does. It's like a gasket, but it's really just a spacer. I put the cardboard in there because there has to be spacings because these hold the bar, hold the handlebar. So if you just make an inch hole, there's no squeeze effect on the bar. That's why the cardboard. I got a drill here, it's about a 1/4 inch. You might wander because this is aluminum. This is, it's called rolled steel. So the drill is going to want to go more into the aluminum because it's softer than the steel. So I think it'll be okay. But I just have to be aware of that. I've got my plastic to make circles, so I have to outline where the triangle is and the radius in the corners. And then we'll go to the bandsaw and we'll cut this out. Then it goes back on the mill. It'll get nicely faced. Because this is what everybody looks at. They're going to look at this piece here. So it needs to be nicely done. So there's a radius. And then if I join up the lines, I'm drawing a line which is tangent. And then you get to see the shape. Oh, we got a burr right there. Okay. What I want to do now is to cut the extension tube. So we'll get a red Sharpie. There it is. It's 41, a little bit rusty, surface rust. 4130 inch and an eighth, 049. You can use 035, but a little bit of a safety factor going on here. So I need to cut that angle there. So we're going to put this like that. That's about how long that's going to be. And that's the top. And that's going to be my hacksaw line. And then we'll belt sand it. And then I want to see how this fits onto that, because I discovered last night that it's a pretty close fit. If you don't get these sizes right, it could be too small. So I spent quite a while working on the ratios of what it is. Every time I pick up a hacksaw, I always think of Alan Milliard. I don't know why that would be. How's my angle? Not bad. Not bad for a hand hacksaw. So how this works, there's a space there, and I think it's 200 thou, something like that. So that's about that. So that's gives a little bit of room for the TIG welding. And then you also need room on the sides. So let's see what we got here. There we go. That looks good. That works out quite nicely. When I build a regular stem, I've got the handlebar clamp tube. I mitered this and I weld it on. And then I set that up in the mill vise, and then that's when I mitered the other end. That's for the quill tube. With this, it's different. So what I need to do, I need to know that this tube, this extension tube, is not at an angle either way. So how do you do that on something like this? Because there's no two flat sides. That's why I have this a particular tube. It's an inch, same size as the handlebars. It goes in there into that bore, and then I can clamp on either side and come off that and know that this is in the middle. That's why I have this, and that's why I'm doing the sequence like I'm doing. I don't start down here because that would be almost impossible to get this lined up and straight. So there's a little bit of a method to my madness. I'm drilling holes for the cable. The cable is going to go through here. It's going to stop at the red line. And that's the outer cable, and the inner cable goes through. Then I drill a 3/16 hole. That's where the cable routing goes inside the stem. I want to show you what's going on here. Here's my drawing. Here's the plate. There's the hole. So the hole is right there. So this 3/16, it's a cable guide tube. It has to bend here, okay? There's got to be a little bend so that it has to come inside of the tube. There's the tube. And then there's going to be a bend down here. So it's going to have a small bend here and then come down here. And there has to be a space here because there's going to be a hole in the bottom of the tube here. And when this gets welded on, this has to be levered down a little bit, and this this tube has to fit through the hole here. I don't know how else to do this. You know, there's been a few nights where I've been lying in bed and not sleeping because I'm thinking, my mind is just going round about this, thinking, how do I do that? How do I make it work? I think this is the best way because I don't see any other way that makes sense to me. So that's the first thing we're going to do, is we're going to bend this, and then I'll install the tube. I'll make this shorter. It's going to go into here. This is the back, and then this tube, the extension tube, has to go on. See that red line there? That's about how high up to go. So everything is really close here. It's definitely not an easy stem to make, at least not the first time. Okay, that's the first step, is to put a little bend in there. So it looks like I have to make a saw cut at about the line. That's about, because it needs to go into here. Okay, what's going on here is that there's an angle on the extension tube, and so it needs to go down as far as it can. And when I was looking at the photographs, it seemed to me that if I drew a line right there, that's how far it needs to come down, or it wants to come down. But can you see that it wants to be higher? That's quite a bit lower there. So how do I fix that? I guess how I fix that is I make this hole deeper, and then I put a countersink on there so that the tube, because it's got a radius on it, it can fit in more. Does that make sense? I'm thinking that what I need to do is to make this hole go in more, like that, and then have a radius here. And I can use a little tool to do that, to make the radius so that there's more space between here and here. So let's try that. It's a little bit of fiddling around, but I'm trying to make this as nicely as I can, being fussy. Oh, okay. Well, that certainly went down. How about that? Look at that. It goes right to the mark. Okay, that's very good. That's success. Okay, what we need to do now, I'm gonna make a mark where this is, where the top is, and then we go to the drawing. So handy having a drawing. That mark is the end of the plate, so that goes like that. I can probably start the bend, I'm thinking right about there, because it's going to bend around and then come down there. Maybe the bend starts a little bit up there. Somewhere in there, that's where the bend is going to be. So here we go. And I won't go too far because I need a little bit more. Need to check. And I need to take some bend out. This needs to be in parallel with the quill tube. So I need to take out some bend And maybe I need to start it a little bit higher, because when I take out bend, it's going to move it back to here. And the spacing between here, where the cable comes out and the stem, that's kind of critical, because you want the cable to be in line with everything as it goes down to the brakes. I'm going to take out a little bit of bend, and then I'm going to add a little bit of bend. So there we go. I've taken that out. So we're obviously back too far. So what that means is that we need to start the bend probably up there somewhere. So I'm adding bend up this way. There we go. So I've added bend there, but I need to take off quite a bit of bend here. So okay, that's looking pretty good. So I think I'm going to make a cut right there. Looks pretty good. Oh, hey. Might have had a smile on my face there, I don't know. Finally. So, that goes in. And we're on the line. I like that. And it comes out. Woohoo. And look, it's at the right angle there. See the angle? It's at the right angle. It's good. I think that's going to work. So next step is to braise this in. This is going to take quite a bit of heat. We're getting close now. This is good. This has been a lot of work, but I've enjoyed it. That's good. Okay. I have to make sure that this angle of the tube fits flat against the backing plate there. And that seems to be good. I'm on the arbor press here, and I've got the stem all set up. On the tube here, I've got a feeler gauge on the bottom here, because that's what sets the angle. so that it's perpendicular. I'm pressing down. So I have a block here. This is my stop, because that's the right amount of squish for the quill. So we'll see what happens here. There we go. Nice and easy. I got the RPM at about 300. I got a little bit of pressure on the hole, so I don't want to put a lot of pressure on. It could grab. So it's cutting. It's cutting a bit slow, but that's okay. We're through. So that's what it looks like. On the quill, this part of the quill has no cap. This is integral. I took a piece of steel and I machined it so it fits inside, and that's where the Allen screw goes inside. It becomes one piece with no stem cap that goes on top. That's what the stem cap looks like. I don't have the right size, but normally they have a cap on the top. This one doesn't. All right. What's left is to nickel silver this little cable routing there, and then to cut it off. We're very close now. I like that. And that is our video. We hope that you have enjoyed watching this. It's the making of a Mantis stem. Mitch and I like coffees. If you provide us with some coffees, we appreciate it. Helps the channel to go. We have merchandise. Please subscribe. See you next time.